Alright, so just a quick little video about the DSC Gunworks comped barrel, DLC coded comped barrel for the Prodigy 4.25 inch. It's empty. I don't know if YouTube's gonna get mad about that, but yeah, I mean, overall, it's been good. Fitment's good. Shoot's good. Haven't had any issues. I've shot 115 and 124s through it so far. I've only got like probably close to 200 rounds, definitely over 100 and something through it so far. It's been good. My chamber, or slide to chamber, was a bit tighter. Mine was a bit tighter, so let's see here. So this area, I can't get the light on it. There's the light. So right in here, this size, diameter, where the barrel locks in there, the back of the barrel has a little notch that lines up and locks in there. Mine from the factory was a bit tighter than the typical tolerances. So I actually have another one right here to actually show. So what I was just talking about was the size from here to here. So basically that measurement, this isn't on right now, but to just show you what was off on mine. Mine was a bit tighter, so I sent it in to DSC Gunworks, and he fitted it. He fit the barrel to my slide specifically. So he machined down this portion of the comped barrel to fit in my slide, because I didn't want him to alter the actual slide, because I wanted to still be able to use my bull barrel if I, choose to. Aside from that, that was the only hiccup. I've kind of noticed that everything about my Prodigy has been tight tolerances. Some people have had some issues. I don't know if that was first batch. I don't know if mine came out of the first batch, but I just do know that everything about mine has always been nice, tight, solid. Even like the fitment, there's some oil on there, but to even just show back there like how tight. So if you look at those notches where the slide goes to the frame, super tight. Same thing over here. It's really tight. I don't know if they're all that way. Don't mind that scratch. I actually dropped it in the snow and got snow all in here. The slide was actually pulled back and got snow all inside the underneath of the slide. Had snow all in here. Blew it out and kept shooting it, and it ran fine. Not a single hiccup. But aside from that, I mean, this fitment, I'm wiggling it, and look, you can't even like see that it's moving. you know. And then like my slide to frame, I got a little bit of a nail on there, but just to show how like tight, look at that. Like I can slide my nail over there and it not really get hung up. Like that's just really good fitment. And like the same thing on these little lugs, these little gripping lugs. I mean, my fingernail doesn't even really hang up on that. Look at that. Got a bunch of oil and stuff coming out of it right now. I haven't cleaned it since the last time I shot it, but I mean, the fitment is nice. Like the whole way down, just, I mean, it just fits. I believe they did a good job. I don't know. Maybe mine's a one of one. I don't know. But from my personal experience, and I mean the wiggle is like so minimal. Like I guess if you look at this oil right here where it's like creeping out and it'll shine. See, you can see a little bit. But really nothing to even talk about. You know what I mean? Like this isn't a custom gun. This isn't like built by one gunsmith for however long it takes him to do so. You know, this is a mass production gun. And in my opinion, this thing's legit. Like, I love this gun. This is one of my favorite handguns, and has thrown me down the 2011 rabbit hole. I plan on getting some more. I've had a lot of fun customizing this one. I added these double tap, shielded, extended safeties on there. You know, a lot of people maybe aren't fans of this Atlas Gunworks gas pedal. To me, I mean, it just allows you to mitigate the recoil. You already have the extended, you know, safeties to be a thumb rest to also help mitigate recoil. And I get it, it's a 9mm, it's not going to recoil a whole lot, but it allows you to get that much more control on it. And I just added this extended mag release button, and it also has the Dawson Precision threaded extended magazine release. This system that Dawson set up right there removed the grit. So the factory Prodigy, at least mine, had some grit when you pressed it. Like you could feel it was gritty, like it wasn't all that smooth, and like now it's super smooth. You don't have to run these extended buttons, so it'll just be like the stock one, just maybe a little bit taller. And honestly, it looks good without the button on there too. But I wanted the extended button, you know. This isn't everybody's cup of tea. There's some people be like, oh, look at all the crap you hung everywhere and all off it, this, that, and the other thing. I don't really care. It's not, you know what I mean? I didn't make it for you, I made it for me. If somebody wants to give me a bunch of money to build some guns and how they want to, you know, we can arrange that. I don't have no problems with that, but I built this with my money for me, how I wanted it. It's got the Infinity Firearms, Infinity 2011 company, full ignition kit. This is one of their custom hammers, and it has a titanium hammer strut. So the rod that comes down in here to press the mainspring is titanium. The leaf spring that's also in here that comes with the Infinity kit is also titanium. I'm running a 17-pound mainspring, and I had to replace the factory Springfield firing pin spring, because due to research, I found out that Springfield Armory uses a double extra power firing pin spring. And in my experience, this may not be the case for everybody, but in my experience, that double extra power firing pin spring was too stiff for the 17-pound mainspring that I put in there. So I just replaced it with a extra power firing pin spring. Boom. Then they work together, no problem. That double extra power firing pin spring is just too overkill. It's way overkill. It's not necessary. And I'm also running an 11-pound recoil spring in here with the Atlas toolless guide rod. So the toolless guide rod system in there is the Atlas. That's a legit guide rod. Makes it so much easier to just field strip and clean. This barrel, this DSC Gunworks comped barrel, did come with an 8-pound recoil spring, and I ran that first, and then the last time I took it out, I put back in the 11-pound. So I was just testing, you know, which one I liked more. And I don't know, personally, to me, for whatever reason, I don't really understand it myself, but the 11-pound spring, I bought Atlas Gunworks 11-pound recoil spring that they have on their site for a 4.6-inch pistol, and I cut it down to the Prodigy length. So I cut it down to the proper length for the Prodigy based off of the factory recoil spring. And to me, the 11-pound feels better than the 8-pound. I would have initially thought that the 8-pound would feel lighter, as it should, as it's a 8-pound spring versus 11. But for whatever reason, to me, the 11-pound just feels much smoother, and possibly lighter. Like I said, I don't really understand that. I have added the EGW recoil spring buffer, so the guide rod buffer. It's a little piece that goes on the end of the guide rod, so when you rack the slide back, it's not bottoming out metal on metal. So it's a little buffer, a little shock buffer in there to reduce some of that energy. And to me, that feels good. It feels good like that. When you put those on, you need to make sure that when your guide rod is compressed all the way in the locked position, that your spring isn't fully compressed on itself. So it's not like binding, you know, it's not over compressing, it's not, you know, crunching on itself. There has to still be a little bit of give between those coils to have it set up properly, from the research and, you know, stuff that I've done. So I also have the Atlas Gunworks. This is the medium trigger and bow. It has the Infinity Sear disconnector in there as well. I added the tritium night sight instead of the fiber optic. The SRO with the SRO plate, Surefire 300. This is the STI tactical magwell. I believe I already said the double tap. But yeah, that's about it. Just wanted to do a little review on this comped barrel setup. So it's got a little bit of wear on there. This is going to get recoated. I'm going to most likely have the entire pistol custom Cerakoted in the magwell. So when I send that in to them to do that, he told me that he'd recoat the barrel as well, you know. So I'm not too worried about that. But overall, I like the all blacked out look. I think it looks pretty good all blacked out. Like I said, this isn't everybody's cup of tea. This isn't everybody's cup of tea, but to me, it's just how I wanted it, you know, with the big SRO on there as well. I like it, you know. It's a good gun. Shoots amazing, feels great, and I've enjoyed learning about the platform, as this is my first 2011, and I fitted all the parts. I fitted the safeties, the trigger, adjusted the leaf springs, put in the mainspring, recoil springs, the firing pin springs, basically everything that's done to this, I did it myself. I was gonna just file down the barrel myself, because, you know, we figured out that my specs were a bit tighter than the traditional Prodigies, and I was like, instead of sending it in to you, why don't I just, you know, hit this with a file a couple times, because it was so close. It was like a thou. Like, that's how precision and precise these things are. It was like a thou off. And I was like, instead of, you know, mailing it to you, this, that, and the other thing, why don't I just, you know, hit it with the file a couple times and it'll be fine. He's like, oh, just send it in, I'll machine it. You know, he did, took care of me, made it happen. Definitely recommend them. They do some amazing work over there. Highly recommended. Their Cerakote work is phenomenal. They offer that comp for the 5-inch Prodigy, where they literally like cut the slide and turn it into a comp and attach it to the barrel. Similar to what is it, the Staccato XC, how that one's set up. They do that for the 5-inch. Yeah, it's $1,100 for them to do that, but for the price of a 5-inch, say you get it for around $1,200. You know, they've come way down in price. Say you get a 5-inch for $1,200, you know, and then you send it to him for $1,100 to do that. You know what I mean? You're still way ahead. You know, $1,200 for a 5-inch, $1,100 for the work. You know, $2,300 just for that to be done. But $2,300 wouldn't even buy you what a Staccato P, or even what their lowest one is probably around that price. The smallest, cheapest Staccato is probably around that price, $2,300, $2,400. And the big thing that kind of bugs me with the Staccatos, I've never shot one. Supposedly they're, you know, the bee's knees, whatever. They're supposed to be really good pistols. That's all fine and all, but why is it that every single model, even their flagship, highest end XC or whatever the model might be, they all have the same friggin' internals? You know what I mean? Like, they all have the same grips, the same triggers, the same sears, disconnectors. Like, everything is the same. Like, why wouldn't you get something more other than just the comp? You know what I mean? You're getting the comp. Why wouldn't you get more? Why wouldn't the different models have better parts? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it might be a slightly larger setup, but they're literally all the same for the most part. So it's like, and everybody replaces the parts on those too. So like, they replace the internals, they'll replace the sear and disconnector and hammer and all that jazz. They do all that and swap it to like EGW, because the EGW is better than the stock Staccato internals. And I've heard that, you know, the stock internals are fine, but they're apparently not as good as EGW. And it's like, if you're going to spend that kind of money on a gun, if you're going to spend what, in the area of $5,000 for a pistol, wouldn't you kind of expect it to already have the goods in it? You know, like, I spent like $1,500 on this one. And I knew going in that there was a possibility of it having issues. I knew that, from the very beginning. I got lucky. This thing has ran flawlessly. I've never had a single issue with this. The only problem I ever had was when I put the 17-pound mainspring in there and didn't have the extra power firing pin spring. I got light strikes. So it would shoot once and then it wouldn't shoot again. And that was due to the double extra power spring that Springfield uses. I swapped that to a regular extra power, boom, good to go. You know what I mean? No problems. But yeah, I mean, I put in this Infinity kit. It's what? I forget how much it was. I think it was in the neighborhood of maybe $250, something like that. But to me, Infinity makes some beautiful guns, and people, there's long waiting periods for that, clearly they know what they're doing. So it was available. They came out with it specifically for the Prodigy. So I decided to get that kit, and I liked that it had the titanium hammer strut, titanium leaf spring, and I reached out to them, made sure that all the parts were steel and not MIM, and they assured me that it's all machined and it's not MIM, and then I asked them about the sear to hammer, if it's, like they told me it's machine matched and it's already like polished to a certain extent. They're like, it's ready to go. So I went ahead, pulled the trigger, got it, no problem. I haven't had an issue with it. And they made a video showing that this internals kit, ignition kit, put on a stock Prodigy, pulled 2.4. I think it was 2.4, less than, right around 2.5 pounds trigger with a stock trigger, stock bow, stock everything. Just with their ignition kit, got the trigger weight down to 2.5 pounds. I've played with this one. My guess, I don't have the trigger pull gauge. I'm gonna tell you right now, this trigger's under 2 pounds right now, for sure. And it wasn't hard to accomplish by any means. And I'm still playing with it. It's clear. Let's see. So I left a little bit of play, but if you watch that little notch, if you can see that bump right down in there on the trigger, if you just watch that, that shows you how minimal the take up is. So that's pretty much in line with it right there. That's all the take up. I mean, that's nothing. And that can still be adjusted out. So like I said, I'm still playing with it. I can still adjust that out, but I don't want to take too much out. It's already light, there's already, so here, we'll give it a pull. So you hit the wall. And I have some over travel that I can take out of that as well. Oh shit, see? Very minimal. Take up. That's the reset. think it's pretty good. I can make it better. I know that. You know, I'm still playing with it. It's very light. There's not much. I can take some more over travel out of that. There's not much left in it. And I'm gonna adjust the leaf spring a little bit more to get that reset a little bit more solid. I like a very positive reset. I appreciate a solid reset. It's nice now. It works good. No issues. It's a good solid trigger. I like it. It works. It's been a good gun. I put some money into it. Like I said, you know, the ignition kit, the springs are cheap. You know, that's nothing. That's, you know, they don't cost anything at all. I did go with the Atlas Gunworks toolless guide rod. It's a good setup, good guide rod. Haven't had any issues with it. I appreciate how easy it is to, you know, put it in, take it out. Yeah, I mean, I've dumped a little bit of money in this thing, but for everything that I have in it, it's better, in my opinion, than other options. Because, I mean, here I am sitting on a comped setup. You know, I got a comped 4.25 inch with extended shielded safeties, you know, custom internals, ignition kit, custom springs. It's super smooth. Like I said, the tolerances to the slide to frame is super tight, front and back, you know, back here, on the side here. Overall, I mean, I don't understand why anybody would complain, really. You know, they're out here buying these other pistols that cost more money, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, they say right out of the box they haven't had any issues. Well, there are people and there are videos out there that show that they've had issues with staccatos out of the box, you know. So, I mean, don't act like that it doesn't exist, because it does. And yeah, Prodigy had a few issues for the first ones out on the market, but you got to understand, it was the very first addition into circulation to the public of this platform for them. Yeah, Springfield Prodigy has made a lot of 1911s, never owned them. People like them. They say they do a good job. I don't doubt it. I believe that they're going to absolutely kill it. This is just their duty model. You know what I mean? Like, this is just their first duty model. This isn't no competition or comped version or precision or whatever other models they might come out with. This is just, you know, this was just the basic duty model. You know, they're probably going to come out with all kinds. This is just the beginning, in my opinion. This is probably just the beginning for the Prodigy. And I spoke with Springfield directly, and they even said, I asked them, I was like, did you guys get the issues squared away that have been going on with it? And they said, it's being blown out of proportion to the actual numbers of the pistols that were in circulation compared to the amount that were actually having issues. Yeah, quite a few people, or you can say a lot of people, were having issues. But at the same time, they were saying to the actual number of pistols that were out there compared to how many that they were actually having to fix or whatever, weren't even comparable. And I can understand that, you know, because the people that don't have issues aren't the ones making the videos complaining, you know. And in my opinion, like I had said, my specs were a bit tighter. That's what happened with the 5-inch. So people were having a lot of issues with the 5-inch. Well, the chamber on the barrel, right here where the bullet, seats in there, this was a bit too tight. So they had tight tolerances. You're going to be mad at a company for having tight tolerances. What was causing it is ammo manufacturers. Some of their bullets are out of spec. In most guns, the guns won't even acknowledge it, and they'll run it no problem. But when you have, such precise, precision, tight tolerances, it's going to show those flaws. It's not going to chamber that round that's slightly out of spec. Like I said, mine was like a thou, like 1,000th off for it to seat into my slide. That's nothing, but it obviously, showed that it wouldn't fit, that there was an issue. Same thing here. They had to ream out the chamber a little bit to allow for different ammo manufacturers' sloppy specs to fit and run. That's not a big deal. Like, that's not something to be upset about. The other thing is, like, this is my first 1911 2011, and it's been a lot of others too, because that was the entire point of Springfield doing this, is lowering the price point to allow a lot more people to be able to purchase these that wouldn't typically shell out the $3-5 grand whatever to get into the 2011 platform. They reduced it down to allow pretty much anybody that wants to get one. And lost my train of thought there for a second, but for the money, they did a great job. They definitely did a great job. And yeah, what I was saying about the specs. So they had tighter specs, not a big deal. And then people want to talk about the magazines. All these Duramags that I bought that are 20 and 26 round, I mainly use the 26 rounders. I'll run the 20s too, but I haven't had any issues with any of my mags. But that's something, and that's where I was going, where I lost my train of thought. So not a lot of people are familiar with this platform. Like I said, this was my first 2011, and I had to learn everything about it, because I fit all these parts myself. The safeties, everything, I fit it all myself. I studied and learned the platform, and took my time and did it myself instead of having somebody else do it. I prefer to understand and know my pistol and my platform myself. So if I have an issue or I have something going on with my gun, I can diagnose it myself and I can fix it myself. Because God knows what situation you might ever be in at any point in time in your life, and something goes wrong, and then what? Oh wait, hold on. Let me call this guy and see if I can send it to him to have him fix it. When you might be in a situation where your life is on the line. And if you can understand and know your gun and know how it works, you might know a way to be able to bypass that problem or to get past that problem. But aside from that, basically what I'm saying is, people that have never owned the platform, that don't have the knowledge of the platform, were able to purchase this firearm. And therefore, if they have any issues whatsoever, they're going to be like, oh, it's junk, it's not running, it's not doing this, it's not doing that, but they don't understand the platform. 1911s have been known to have issues, but they're also known to have the best trigger. The thing that's always kept me away from them is the limited capacity, single stack magazine. And I didn't like the narrow grip of a single stack either. But a lot of these people are used to polymer, framed pistols, Glocks, what have you, striker fire polymer frame pistols. And they just expect to whatever ammo they put in there to work, to run. And yeah, it should be that way to a certain extent. I've fed all kinds of ammo through this thing and not had any problems. You know, and like I said earlier, dropped it. I had it locked back and happened to drop it and scratched it a little bit right here, but the slide was locked back, mag was out of it, and I happened to drop it when I was out, you know, shooting, and it fell in the snow and dirt and got stuff everywhere in it. I just blew it out, threw a mag in it, racked it, shot it, no problems, you know. But these do require more maintenance and attention. You know, you can pretty much almost get away with never cleaning a Glock or something along those lines, and it'll literally fire whenever you need it to, with whatever ammo you put in it. Doesn't matter if it's steel case, you know, hollow points, whatever. But with these, they can be a bit finicky. In my opinion, they tend to like to be either cleaned or oiled around 200, 250 rounds. If you're out shooting and you get up around that number, at least that's the way it was in the very beginning of shooting this, getting up to 200, and depending on how dirty the ammo is, it will require either you adding some oil to it or to field strip it real quick and just wipe it down, you know, clean out the channels of the slide, wipe it down, wipe down the feed ramp on the barrel, add a little bit of oil, slap it back together. It only takes a second. Like, it doesn't even take that long. But it's something that this platform requires. It requires to be cleaned and add oil. Some people have them to where certain guns, they say that, oh, they've never oiled it, they have 5,000 rounds through it, they run it dry. I don't know about all that. I don't have that experience. Like I said, this is my first one. But in my experience, it's performed great, but I've kept it clean and I've kept it oiled. But overall, this DSC Gunworks comped barrel has been good. No complaints. It does make the pistol a bit louder, in my opinion. I used to be able to get away with shooting a few shots with this with no ears on, with the factory barrel, and you know, I could do that no problem, you know, outdoors in open areas, no big deal. And then put this in there and it definitely made it louder. I remember taking the first shot with this barrel on there, and it was just 115 grain, and I took that first shot and it rang my ear, and I was like, wow. Let me try that again to confirm that that was what was going on. And then I did a second shot, and yeah, it rang my right ear again. So I was like, yep, gonna have to put the ears on. So from now on, I shoot it with the ears, because it's quite a bit louder. I believe it does, you know, mitigate the recoil some. Like I said, I don't have a ton of rounds through it yet. Less than 200 rounds on this barrel, and same thing with the ignition kit. So I put the ignition, all the springs, barrel, everything in all at once, and I'm still right under, close to 200 rounds so far. But so far so good, you know. No issues, no problems. Thing runs good, feels good, slides good. It'll get better with time, in my opinion. It'll get even better with time, because any little bit that needs to wear in a little bit more to fit a bit more precisely is going to do so by either hand racking the slide or by shooting it, you know. But lockup's good. Overall, it's good. You know, if it's something that you want, do it. Get it. It's not that big of a deal. If you don't like it, you can throw your factory barrel back in. You know, it's not like you can't go back once you do it. And if you don't like it, you could sell it to somebody else. Somebody else would buy it, I'm sure. Or you just keep it on hand to put it on when you feel like it. Because literally, it's ran with the 8-pound spring that it came with, and it's also ran with this 11-pound spring that I have in there as well. So it's not like it necessarily requires a different spring. I haven't tried it with the stock spring that came with the gun. I might try that, see what happens, see what it does. But as of right now, the stock spring I have not tested. The 11-pound spring I've used with this barrel and it ran, no problem. And then the 8-pound spring that it came with, I've ran, no problem. So, and then the same thing with the grains, 115, 124. I haven't tried anything higher yet, but I will. I have it. I just don't like to waste it. I think I have some 147s in there. They're defensive, I believe hollow tips. Some people said that they had issues with hollow tips not feeding. And me and this guy were, you know, talking one night, and he's like, yeah, he's like, some people, or they're saying that it won't even feed. It won't feed hollow tips. He's all, does yours feed hollow tips? Because I haven't had any issues with anything on mine. Mine's ran good. And I was like, son of a bitch. I'm like, you fucking intrigued me. I don't believe I've shot any hollow tips through it yet. So I went back in my room and grabbed out a bunch of different, I think it was 4 or 5 different kinds of defensive rounds. Even the old school RIP, the RIP ammo, what was it, G2 RIP ammo. It's those bullets that fragment. They're hollow tips, but they break into a bunch of like shards, like little pieces. It's good defensive ammo, so you don't have to worry about over penetration, this, that, and the other thing. But they're a pretty gnarly, aggressive design in the bullet. And I didn't shoot them through this, and the same thing with all the other different hollow points that I had on hand, just for conversation point, talking with dude. I just loaded some in the magazine in the house, and then just racked it to see if it would just chamber it. Because, you know, if it chambers it, it's gonna fire it, you know, as long as your gun's set up right. So they were having issues with it even being able to chamber it. And mine, with the stock barrel, this was before I got the comped barrel, but with my stock barrel, it chambered every single one. I think there was one, and it was towards the middle or the end of the 5 or 6 different rounds that I was trying. I don't know if I might have not fully cycled the slide back when I was trying to rack it, because I was already 4 or 5 into testing it, and every single one chambered, no issues whatsoever. And one of them, I think I might have short stroked the slide, but it started to and then didn't chamber it. But I just pulled the slide back slightly again, and boom, it went right into chamber. So I guess maybe 1 out of 6 of 6 different manufacturers. I had one slight hiccup, but I don't know if that was induced on my behalf, because I was already, you know, oh, let me just rack it, wasn't really paying too much attention. But one did slightly not fully chamber, but aside from that, everything was good. It'll run hollow points, at least with that barrel. I don't see why it wouldn't with this one. Another little thing, I've talking to some people, apparently not everybody does it. But when I oil this pistol, and typically on my others as well, I'll add a little bit of oil, a couple drops or a drop or two oil on my feed ramp, and I'll just kind of rub it in there. When I'm in here cleaning and adding some oil to the barrel and whatnot, after I clean it and oil in the gun, that's a spot that I always add a little bit of oil to. How long it stays there and how much it actually works, I don't know. Maybe it doesn't do anything at all, but it's just something that I do. Who knows? Maybe over time it actually might absorb into the actual metal. Maybe it's too big of a molecule to even be able to do that. I don't know. But that's just something that I do personally. So, and I mentioned that to dude, and he's like, oh, I don't do that. He's like, maybe I'll try doing that. I was like, it isn't going to hurt anything, But yeah, overall, this thing is like super smooth. Feels good. I enjoy it. It's one of my favorite pistols right now. And I think it could stand up against who knows what. You know what I mean? I believe this pistol can hold its ground, especially with everything I put in it. I'd have to shoot some of these other ones that everybody talks about. You know what I mean? I have to feel it in hand, feel how smooth it is. The fitment. I know the fitment, and that's why I kept saying it earlier about how smooth and tight this fitment is, because on other models, I don't need to drop the names or whatever, but on other models, they don't have this nice, smooth, tight tolerances from frame to slide. And those pistols cost more money. And like I previously stated, the internals, people upgrade the internals, they swap out the triggers, they do all these things, for something that they already paid a premium for to start with. So it's like, I bought this for less knowing that I was probably going to customize it, because I have a hard time leaving anything alone for the most part. But it's been good. It's been worth it in my opinion. I don't have any regrets with anything that I've done with this pistol. It's been great, and I would definitely trust my life with it. Absolutely 100%. I trust it to go bang anytime I pull that trigger. And I can't say that for every gun I own, unfortunately. I purchased a SIG P320 Spectre comp. It also had a factory built-in comp, supposed to be one of their SIG Custom Gunworks guns, and it's a $1,500 pistol, 15 plus, I think $15.99 or something like that. And that thing's fucking trash, absolute garbage. When it shoots nice. It is nice. Like, it shoots smooth, it's nice, but getting the thing to friggin' run is damn near impossible. It's fucking garbage. I don't even want to get started on that one. And I sent it into SIG 3 times for them to fix it. They did not fix it, could not fix it. And then talking to customer service and all that stuff for the billionth time, friggin' head of customer service tells me, oh, I'm gonna personally look over and shoot your pistol. Well, maybe that's the fucking problem. You got the head of customer service trying to tell me that he's gonna work and look and shoot my pistol? Maybe that's why y'all haven't fixed it. You guys are supposed to be SIG Custom Gunworks and have, custom gunsmiths and all this other shit. And you guys probably fix it myself. I haven't even really, that gun pissed me off, so it's just been sitting in the room. But that gun I would never trust my life with, ever, 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 ever. Stovepipes, failure to feeds, failure to eject. I mean, you name it. Trash, straight trash. And the funny thing is, you YouTube it, and almost every single review of somebody shooting that gun, they have stovepipes, failure to feeds, failure to extracts. It's in all the videos. There's very few on there, and those might be paid ones that aren't showing that. But damn near every single video that might be an honest review, and maybe even some where they sent them the gun to review, were actually honest and said, yeah, we've had issues, this thing's not running right, this, that, and the other thing. It's out there. And it's been in the groups too. We're like, oh yeah, mine messed up. Yeah, mine didn't want to run, and then I did this and I did that. I tried to allow the manufacturer to resolve the issue for me, and they were unable to do so, unfortunately. And to me, that's not acceptable. You know, they designed it, they made it, they manufactured it, they sent it out to the public. You know, they should be able to fix it. They should be able to resolve the issue. And if they were having those issues and they were trying to say, oh, well, you need to use this grain, you need to use that grain, and you got to use only 124, it was doing it on everything. It didn't matter what I shot through it. And it got to the point where it actually would run a little bit better with the 115 versus the 124. And they're telling me, oh, you got to run 124. I bought over 1,000 rounds of 124. Nope. You know, it was still having issues, because what it comes down to, most likely, it's the damn spring. You know, it's the weight of the spring that's causing it to stovepipe and mess up. And that was one thing that was making me hesitant to buy this barrel, because of the experience with that SIG and it having issues. And I contacted the owner of the company and I said, have you had any issues with it? I was like, does it have to run certain ammo? And he's like, you can run whatever ammo you want. He's all, you know, it's not gonna have any issues. I was like, because I've had issues with stovepiping and all this other crap. And he's like, yeah, you're gonna be good. And it was supposed to be just a drop-in barrel. Like I said, my specs were a bit tighter than the standard factory specs on this, so the barrel didn't fully seat in there correctly. And the guy was on top of it and said, just send it to me. I'm going to fix it, make it right, and send it back, you know. So, and he did, you know, and it's been good. I haven't had any issues. I have not had a single stovepipe or any malfunction with this gun, period, with this barrel or without. So maybe I got a good one. I don't know. But overall, to me, this thing's worth every penny, and I'm glad that I bought it. So that's the extensive, excessive, rambling review for this comped barrel and just my Prodigy overall, you know, with all the parts that I put on it and customized. And it's a good gun. It's a real good gun. I would definitely recommend it, but you got to go into it knowing that it's going to require you to clean it and to oil it. It's going to need a bit more of attention, you know. And you got to understand, and I didn't really touch on that, I'll cover it real quick, but the mags. Anybody that's owned a 2011 for a significant period of time has always known that one of the biggest issues with the 2011 has been the magazines. And over time, over a significant period of time, certain companies and people have, you know, almost damn near perfected the magazines to where they work and run as they should. But previously, you would have to tune your mags all the time. And you still, with this platform, want to remove the plate, remove the spring, and clean. You want to clean the inside of your magazines. And they've had issues with having to tune them, but it's so simple. So you got the feed lips on here on the magazine, you put the bullet in there, and when you're feeding it out, if it's scratching the case, of the bullet, then you know that these are a bit too tight. You know, it's easy to slightly bend them out, but the hard part is if you bend them too far out, good luck trying to bend them back in, basically. So pretty much anything that you do with these pistols, you want to do very small adjustments. But they had issues with the followers too, these plastic followers. So these plastic followers would cause the bullet to nosedive. So when it's coming up and it's feeding into the chamber, the front of these followers would cause the bullet to nosedive. So then it wouldn't feed, you know, and that would cause issues. Well, they have a lot of different followers, or whatever this part is called, on the market. A lot of people sell different springs, followers. You can get ones that are cut down like competition style, where it'll add a couple more rounds to your mag, but you'll lose your last round lock back. So that's what this little notch is right here, is for the last round to lock the slide back. Now, if you get the cut down competition model that adds a couple rounds, you're not going to get that feature. Same thing with this. Because of the design of this, it's not going to lock back with the last round. But as you can see it wiggling, you can still pull the slide back and manually push this up and lock the slide back if you want to. I don't really see the point, or, you know, the need to do so. I don't need last round lock back. I don't. And the same thing, like people trying to use this as a slide release. So they have it locked back, they put a mag in, and then they want to use this to drop the slide. That's not what this is intended for. This isn't a striker fire polymer pistol. That's not what this is. This is literally designed to lock and hold the slide back. It's not designed to send the round and send the slide home. So when you do have it locked back, you're supposed to grab it, pull it back that little extra that it needs to get the full weight and power out of the spring that you have in your guide rod. It needs and wants that extra bit of pressure, spring tension. You're not getting the full spring tension when you have it locked back and then you try to use that to drop the slide. That's not what this is intended for. You need to give it that extra power that it wants and needs in order for you to potentially get a reliable chamber. You know, if you have sloppy habits and doing that like a striker fire pistol, like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna use this, and everybody was complaining like, oh, I can't reach my thumb to drop it. It's not designed to do that. And all you had to do, if you did want to do that, use your support hand. You know, that's it. It's got it. The support hand has to come to the gun anyways, you know? So it's like, as soon as you put that hand there, boom, you can drop it. But that's not how these were designed to run. You're supposed to give it that extra pull, to give it that extra power to chamber that round and know that it's going to chamber that round and you're going to be good to go. Because if you're reliant on this, yeah, it could work. It could work most of the time. It could maybe possibly work every time. But there's always that chance that it's not going to be enough power, because who knows, there might be a slight mag issue. You know, you might have a little slight adjustment that needs to be done on your mag. And now that you just use that to send the slide home, and maybe that magazine is gripping that round a little bit tighter, or that follower inside is a little dirty and it doesn't have the same resistance as if it was clean to feed that round, and maybe it would have chambered that round and sent it home if you pulled the slide all the way back and not just dropped the slide lock. I don't know. It's a lot of rambling. I don't even know if I'm going to post this video.